good morning. It's Paul Feuerstein, hiding and all dressed up for my special guest here for a specific reason. I am here today with Michelle Lee. Michelle, say hi, everybody.
Hello.
And Michelle is the executive director of OSAP, O-S-A-P. Why don't you tell us what that acronym is first, and then let me get the stuff off, and we'll talk about what I'm wearing and why it's not right.
All right. So OSAP stands for the Organization for Safety, Asepsis, and Prevention.
So this is the hottest thing going right now. I mean, everybody is asking, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to wear? What if a patient is positive? What if a patient is negative? So before we even start, let me tell you what I did and I did wrong. So when I saw this coming in must have been March, I went online real quickly. I said, oh, well, we're going to get some N95 masks, which was impossible. So I found a couple of websites in China and I said, we'll give you N95 masks. And they have a little respirator. I don't know if you can really see it. There's a little respirator thing on here. And I needed I wanted some protective goggles for my glasses and a face shield. So it all came in actually a couple of days ago. So the mask looks like it's made out of tissue paper. It has no markings whatsoever on it. There's no markings at all. The goggles, the front of them actually goes on a curve, so my vision is totally distorted with that. And this exotic face shield is a piece of plexiglass with a piece of something I would use in my windows to like some window sealer stuff and a piece of elastic in the back. So it sits up against my face. So luckily, the whole investment for everything I bought was about $32. But I wanted to get a small test drive. So let's talk about OSAP and what did I do wrong, and what is going on with this PPE chain and everything, Michelle. So tell us a little bit about what you do, and you're not a doctor,
No.
but you're the director. You run the show though.
Yeah, I am not the subject matter expert. Thank goodness we have many of those who are members of OSAP. So for people who don't know who OSAP is, we are a dental membership association, and we're the only dental membership association that has as its sole focus infection prevention and patient safety. So we collaborate with many other dental associations, of course, but our members are dentists and hygienists and assistants and educators, dental educators, manufacturers, distributors. It's a really interesting group of people who all have the same passion, and that's infection control for dentistry.
So you'll see, like if you buy a sterilizer, you'll see there's some OSAP certification. If you buy wipes, they have some certification.
Well,
it's not a certification.
Yeah, we don't actually certify any products, but the manufacturers, most of them are members of OSAP. So they do come to our training. We just had a huge event back in January, our annual 3-day boot camp in Chicago, where we had almost 700 attendees for that. I know one particular manufacturer that had 8 of their engineers attend.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? But they need to know the current information.
So what did I do wrong here by buying these things off label and I'm not going to use them in the office. So I might use them to clean my house or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of counterfeit products out there right now. And CDC has actually posted to their site. I don't have the link in my head, but if you go to the OSAP homepage, we have a COVID-19 resource page with links to CDC posts, ADA, ADHA, every state association that's provided new mandates, OSHA, FDA, EPA, so it's all in one place. But
I also saw you have the ADA, and you have some continuing education on there too. So a lot of courses and information.
Yes, well, we've with the ADA, we've actually had 2 webinars during this this crisis of it. We've never had a co-branded webinar with the ADA until now, and we had one in March, and then we had one in April to address issues. The one in April was on the respiratory protection plans that need to be in place with the use of the N95s.
So I
because
learned
there's
something when I
there's
watched it.
rules behind that, right?
So I attended that, and I actually got one CE for that also, free CE. Always good to have
Yes.
that. But they don't like my beard.
Yeah. And also on the CDC website, you will find an amazing poster, and it lists all the different types of beards. I never knew
Sure,
there
you
were
can.
so many. To show you which ones you can get the correct seal with an N95. So yeah, I think you might have a little
I'm working on a new design here, so I'll have to figure things out.
that'll be
So,
great.
some practical questions are just two simple questions. We're going to see patients coming into the office, and we're going to take temperatures and things like that, and give them a little a questionnaire, and they're going to say I'm fine, and they look fine, but they're still There still could be carriers, and I think that
Yes.
to me that's my most frightening thing going back into the office. I've been in a couple of times, and I look, I'm wearing all these things, and so what when I think there's a confusion because some of the regulations I've been hearing are if you are treating a COVID positive patient, which is very different from treating a non-COVID positive patient. But how do we know?
Well, we don't know. That's the thing. So we really need to when you're in most of it, it's still guidance. ADA has just issued some new guidance. CDC will have additional guidance coming out as well, but it's all interim guidance because it's all changing, right? Because every week it seems like we learn something new. So when we look back at we should be doing, it's about number one, make sure you're up to date on all your standard precautions. First of all, you need to know all of that because when we look back in the 80s, when everything first came out with AIDS and HIV and OSHA issued the bloodborne pathogens standard, right? We went right to then, standard precautions for everybody. Well, in this situation, it's standard precautions with a few additional suggestions in the interim guidance, right? Because we don't know yet.
And I know, I mean, if the patient is okay and we're positive the patient's okay, a level 3 mask is actually probably reasonable. And then there's a lot of questions also about reuse. Now this is an actual this is a 3M mask, and the big difference is it doesn't have little ear loops. It has these two things that shove it around your face.
So you get that good seal, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a big. So when you see the little ear loops, that's a giveaway right off the bat with the single ear loops. But so a couple of interesting things. There's been questions on Facebook about something interesting. The hygienists are asking a question now, saying they're working on a patient, and yes, they're going to use cavitrons, they'll have to use face shields, etc. What happens when they need a dentist to come into that room and check the patient? What do we have to go through at that point? I mean, I don't really know.
Yeah, so the ADA again has put out some great guidance, and that's what I would refer everybody to go through as their reopening guidance. And there's some great suggestions in there on the whole process of when you need to change your PPE when you're going in and out of the rooms. So it's included.
And then in terms of reuse, if I'm reading things correctly and listening to people correctly, in theory, I can reuse my N95 if it didn't get soiled, if it didn't get wet, and if I had a secondary, like a level 3 over the top of that. Is that so?
Right, if you have a full face shield over it.
And a full face shield too. So I think I mean this is where the OSAP. What is the website exactly? It's just OSAP.
OSAP.org.
ORG, yeah. So we'll post that right in front of us.
Great.
But I think that's the critical thing is we need a central place for guidance, and I think this is where OSAP comes into play. Is that you're the director, literally, and so you're orchestrating a one-stop shopping here for us to go and what do we need to know about masks? What do we need to know about levels of masks? N95. What does KN95 mean? Things like that.
Right, yeah. So again, on that COVID-19 resource link, we call it our COVID-19 toolkit. We have links to all of this because that's the one message I think OSAP wants to get out there is, you mentioned it earlier, on Facebook, you're like me, we're members of so many different dental groups out there, and I see all the posts and the questions and the debates. And we were already debating infection control before this came up, right? And so it's even more now. But what we caution people is not to just believe everything they see on social media. Just because somebody posts something doesn't mean it's truth. To go to those vetted sources like OSAP, like ADA, like ADHA, CDC, OSHA. Those are the vetted sources to go to get your information.
And just one last quick thing is, do you have, I mean, this may not be in your knowledge base, but there's a lot of talk about air changing and air cleaners and things like that. And now they're talking about negative pressure rooms and things like that. I mean, if I was in a hospital setting treating a very active patient, I could understand it, but where do we draw the line here and what do we actually need?
Well, it's pretty obvious. It's going to be it would be almost impossible for dental offices to have negative pressure rooms. The costs, the design of the building, all of it. But the bigger, I think, question is, we don't know. There's so much we don't know, and there's too many assumptions being made. And so there's research that still needs to be done about that level. If you have a COVID-19 patient, you don't see them in your office. That's the end, unless you have one of those rooms. You send them somewhere else or go somewhere else to treat them. But there's still so much unknown right now. And so what I would advise people to do is keep up with the science, keep reading, look for the research that's going to be coming out. People are getting behind this now. So we're going to learn a lot over the next year, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I think that term there is read the science, because when you read the Facebook threads, they're all over the place.
Right.
This is a bunch of baloney. This is political. This is this. I mean, there's this hard science behind everything. And then
yes.
there was a guy who did an op-ed piece in the newspaper, and he was interviewed, and he said, his attitude was, let's just let everybody just get out there, just get sick. Some people will die, and then we'll get on with life. I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, and some people agree with that. So, I mean, I have a bias, of course, and you have a bias, of course, but I think the science is the key, and OSAP, as like I said, is a central depot for everything, is really a key. I don't think we're going to have any answers here, other than the fact is everybody has to do their homework and
yes.
listen to who you trust.
And one of the things I would suggest is some offices are starting to go back to work. Some people are still at home, or even the offices that are going back may not be going back full time yet. So one thing that I would suggest is, yes, use this time for education. And if you don't mind, I'd love to do a little plug for some education opportunity that OSAP has. OSAP has been working for about 5 years on a couple of programs in conjunction with Danby and the Dell Foundation. And so we launched this year our OSAP Dell Foundation Dental Infection Prevention and Control Certificate Program. And so we have it, we have a discount on that. It's all online. So it's a great opportunity for people right now at home. It brings you up to speed on all of CDC guidelines. The e-handbook that is part of this program is probably one of the most amazing educational tools I've ever experienced online. It takes you to all kinds of links, but you'll earn CE by completing this. And I think the total CE is like 11 or 12 hours that you earn. But at the end, you actually take a 50-question assessment. And let me tell you, it's not just that easy. People are very proud. This is one thing I am excited about seeing on social media, people posting their certificate once they earn. Wow. But I know people that have had to take it more than once.
Oh boy.
So they take it, then they realize, oh, I thought I knew all of this, right? This is a lot about standard precautions. And they've had to go back, reread, and then retake the test. So that just shows you the quality of this education and that it means something. And that is one of the first steps, one of the pathways to what's coming out next year. And that will be the certification for dental infection control. Will be another level higher, and you'll earn these credentials that you can put after your name, which dental professionals love more credentials, don't they?
But at least it's a legitimate source. So is there
Yes.
information, is the information about that on the OSAP website too?
Yes, but you can also go and find even more information on our microsite, which is dentalinfectioncontrol.org.
Dental infection. All right, so we'll post that
So
up
it's
also.
easy. Yeah.
Well, Michelle, I guess it was a pleasure scaring the heck out of everybody, but
Well,
it's
that's what we
really,
don't want to do is
no,
scare
I know,
people,
I know, I
as there's great information and great education, and we'll be able to continue providing dentistry the way that we have always done, and that's safely protecting both the dental professional and the patient.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for spending a couple of minutes with me. And I'm gonna spend a lot every day. I'm gonna just flip up the website and see what's going on. What's the newest and
Please,
latest thing?
please. Thank you so much for having us today.
Oh, sure, Michelle. Thanks.